Did you miss this move from Bitcoin? Are you out of the market right now? Because if you are, I feel your pain. If you are out of the market, did you miss this move from Bitcoin? Sorry. Are you out of the? If you are out of the market, I understand your pain and I feel your pain and I know exactly what you are going through. And I want to talk about that today with you because today, probably you are feeling FOMO. And I want you to forget everything you think you know about FOMO. Because FOMO is not a mistake and it's not weakness. It's not lack of discipline. A lot of people say that FOMO is lack of discipline. It isn't. FOMO has a role in your brain. And it's working exactly as designed. And until you understand that, you are going to keep losing money every single cycle. And I'm telling you this not just because this is a random live stream, no. I'm telling you this because I lost money because of FOMO. I was in your place when I saw the market moving and I was out. For several reasons. I was waiting for lower. I was listening to some people that was expecting for lower. And I'm where you are today if you're out of the market. And do you know when I stopped losing money? And when I did my research and understood what is FOMO. So today, I'm going to tell you 3 things. What is FOMO? Why you feel FOMO? And what I will do if I was out of the market right now. Again, what is FOMO? Why you feel it? And my plan if I was of the market today. So, no price targets, no alpha calls, no buy this, no sell that. Just you, me, and the thing nobody wants to talk about when everything is green. It's FOMO. So, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your head right now. And I'm talking for those that are outside of the market, right? For those that are out of the market right now. So, like I said, I've been in this market since 2017. And if you told me that the hardest part of this game, because it is a game, wasn't picking the right coin, it was managing the 2 kilos, I think so, or 3 pounds of tissue between my ears, and I'm not talking about my hair, I wouldn't have believed it. But here we are. And today I wanted to show you something. I want to show you this. This is a simplified map of your brain on green candles. Green candles, 4 regions, all firing at the same time, but they are firing against you. Let me walk you through them slowly, because if you understand this like I did, I think a lot of things are going to start to make sense to you. We start here, at the amygdala. This is your threat detector. This is the oldest part of your brain, and it's designed to keep you alive. You know when? When there are predators from your ancestrals. And here's what most people don't realize. Your amygdala treats market is moving without me the same way it treats something is trying to kill me. Let me repeat on this. This part of your brain, when it sees a green candle moving and you are out of the market, it will give you the same feeling if something is trying to kill you. It's the same circuit, it's the same alarm, and it's the same intensity. Every green candle you are not in, your brain is registering that as a threat. That's why FOMO doesn't feel like greed. It feels like fear, because it actually is fear. And now you know why. Now you understand why you feel fear of missing out, because actually your brain is telling you it's fear. Now let's look on this second part of your brain. Nucleus something. I'm not a scientist, but I studied this. And this is the reward system. This is the part that releases dopamine. And here's what nobody teaches you. Dopamine doesn't fire when you win. It fires on the anticipation of winning. Watching the pump happen. It feels like winning before you even enter the trade. You know that feeling. I know that feeling. You know when you open your watch list and everything is green, that little rush? That's not excitement. That's this part of your brain doing its job. You are not chasing a trade. A trade. You are chasing a chemical. And you need to understand this. This chemical doesn't care if the setup is good or not. When you see your portfolio green, when you see an altcoin that you bought green, and you have an expectation that that altcoin will do a 10x, this is your part of the brain telling you this. Okay? Then you have another region of your brain. And this is one of the most underestimated in the whole conversation. This brain imaging, there's brain imaging studies show that the feeling of being left out activate the same regions in physical pain. Not a metaphor. It's the same thing. So when you go on X and you see everyone posting gains, your friends posting gains, your brain is processing that as an actual physical pain. Again, it's processing that as an actual physical pain. And the thesis that you had last week, the plan you made on the weekend, all of that gets overridden by the pain your brain is trying to stop. This is why herd buying exists. Your brain is telling you to move with the crowd because staying still hurts. This is that part of the brain. And now you have the prefrontal cortex. Again, I found this very useful for me, and that's when I stopped losing money on the market. And this is where you live as a trader. Thesis, position size, entry plan, exit rules, they are all here. All here. This is the CEO of your brain. This is the CEO of your brain. When the other three regions fire at the same time under real emotion, stress, blood flow from here drops. Literally. And there's no CEO. That's why the plan you wrote yesterday, the rules you were so sure about, you can't access them. Not because you forgot, because the part that would access them is offline. This is why the I will be disciplined in the moment never works. Never works. The disciplined part of you, it's gone. It's already gone. And you need to understand this, okay? And I want you to understand this part because it's really important for you to understand that there are four regions that are firing within seconds. Fear, dopamine, social pain, and rational control, offline. And that's why you think and you wonder why you made a terrible decision. Now that you understand this, and again, you need to understand this, you need to understand, and this is for you that are out of the market right now and feeling FOMO. This is not personal failing. This is not lack of discipline. This is biology. Every single person watching this has the same brain. I have this brain, you have this brain, the guy who lost 8 figures on Luna have the same brain. The only difference between the people who survive and the people who get liquidated, it's not willpower. It's when the decisions get made. And now we are going to the decision part. Because I'm going to tell you 4 profiles and then what I will do if I was out of the market. But first you need to understand things. It's like doing a research for an altcoin or a project that you want to invest. If you don't do your research, you are investing blindly. If you want to correct your FOMO, your bad decision, you're losing money on the market, without researching the why, it's not going to work. Again, it's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is show you a framework that works wherever you end up buying. And this is a tool I built for my community, and I want to share the simple version with you guys today. And this is it, and I'm going to show you. There you go. This is a portfolio allocation. Okay, 5 buckets, 4 risk profiles, and it's all about one thing: deciding how much risk you can live with before the middle gets a vote. This is why I'm always saying that get a plan for each scenario, because if you do, you don't feel FOMO, you don't lose money, and you sleep well. And you need to sleep well. Now let me tell you why I'm showing you this today. This is the Bitcoin chart, and a lot of people today are seeing the same thing that happened last year. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm not saying it's the same. But a lot of people are saying exactly what we saw last year. What was it? Everyone started to call for a bear market in January. We went here, we tested the previous resistance as support, and then we went for all-time highs on April. This was the tariff drama. This is the tariff drama. Okay? Today, and I'm seeing, because I got a lot of DMs about this, everyone asking if it was the same thing. I don't think it is the same thing, but I know this creates FOMO because everyone remembers when they were out of the market here and they sold here. You all remember this. There were a lot of people that were bearish here and they sold, they made money, but then we did like 3, 4, 5 all-time highs before we start to drop again. You remember them. You remember those who were calling for a bear market here. And one of the DMs that ring the bell, and I did this today, was because someone said, look, the same guy that called for a bear market here is still calling for a bear market here. And I said, the drop is different. I know it's April. We might reverse. There are a lot of things that are different. But I can tell you one thing, okay? And I'll go to the charts later. This here was the line that I didn't want to see Bitcoin break, so we can still keep the structure intact, which we did. Now, can we still call this a deviation? I don't think so. Can we call this a mid-cycle correction if we get an extended cycle? I think now we are making the case for it, but only if we recover this. But this move here is creating FOMO, and I know a lot of people that are going to get wrecked. And that's why I did this today. I explain you what FOMO is biologically so that you can understand what you feel. And then I decided to build this. Okay. We have 4 profiles here. 4 profiles here. Okay. And we need to go really quick. We have Bitcoin that should be your reserve asset. Then you have large caps, mid caps, small caps, and DGen. Okay. I think most of us have the DGen portfolio. Unless you are on the conservative side. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. On the DGen, we are going to have memes, microcaps, and new launches. And memes, microcaps, and new launches, okay? And I need to be honest about this. DGen is not high risk. DGen is, you probably lose this entire bucket, and the question is whether you're okay with that. That's it. That's the frame. Now, we have the conservative size, the portfolio that I think a lot of you should be in and you are not. Okay? It's 70% Bitcoin, 20% large caps, 0 DGen, some mid caps and small caps. This is the profile for someone who wants to be in crypto, but sleep at night when there's a 50% drawdown. And there's no shame of this. Again, a lot of people should be here and don't know this. Okay? Then you have the balanced portfolio. 50% Bitcoin, 30 large caps, small allocation to the rest. And this is the classic long cycle approach. Most people survive multiple cycles, live somewhere around here. I can give you my example. I'm not on the balanced because I'm an altcoin or a shitcoiner. And you know that I never hide that. I'm a dino coin guy. And I still have a dream that Ronnie is going to say something positive about XRP. But I'm kind of here. Okay, I don't have 50% Bitcoin or whatever, but I would say I'm in the middle of the balanced and the aggressive. Okay, I don't have my profile here, but I've been here for a few years. I would say that my Bitcoin exposure is less than 20%. Full transparency with you. But I think this is what fits most people. And this is why I have these 4 profiles. And because I wish someone told me this when I joined crypto, when I started investing in crypto. Now, the aggressive portfolio. This is the real alt exposure. You are saying, and again, I've been through this. You are saying, I'm willing to watch my altcoin portfolio drop 70% in the bear in exchange for asymmetric upside. And there's an important word here. Willing, not hoping I won't feel it. Willing to take it. And I'll give you my approach here. I don't mind when altcoins drop. I don't mind when altcoins drop. Because I have more time to accumulate my convictions. But this is me. Okay? This is just me. This is how I've been doing, and it's been working well for me. Till someday it will not work, but I'm okay with that. We already talk about that on my shows. And then you have the ultra degen one. This is the 20% Bitcoin, 50% degen. And again, if this is you, I don't have anything to judge. I can say that I have, for example, a lot of my portfolio in large caps and mid caps, but I have the degen ones too. And I'm not going to judge because of one thing. When I started, I had a small account. And small accounts sometimes need asymmetric bets to get to the next level. But you need to know what you are signing up for. When I went all in on COVID, I didn't went on Bitcoin. I went on altcoins. Okay? Again, when I went all in on COVID, I didn't went on Bitcoin. I went on altcoins. Okay? Again, asymmetric bets. If your account is small, you need to do it. I understand that. Just know that shit might happen. So, and when I say that, I say a 70 to 80% drawdown on your portfolio. And it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We have all been there, I've been there, and I'm not going to tell you that's not going to happen. And but I have to be honest, if you cannot handle this, this is not your portfolio for you. You are not in the right profile, okay? Now, this is the moment that if you are out of the market, and this is where my planning comes, you need to understand what you are going to do. And you need to understand which profile is the right one for you. Once you have the right profile for you, once you have the right one, this is exactly what I would start doing today. Okay? And I'm going to tell you why. I was even thinking of doing live trading today, but there's a lot of contradictions on the market right now. And I'm not doing it. Okay? I'm not sure if I'm going to check some charts in the end, and this is live stream, is not recorded. I'm going to check some charts, but I'm not going to do live trading just because I'm not sure who's telling the truth between the conflict. So, the same way I'm not doing live trading, the same way you need to be ready for something to happen and the market erase all the gains. And I want to be 100% honest with you. If I was out of the market right now, I would be starting to layer in with very small tranches. Okay. Again, let's say that we have a balanced portfolio, a balanced one. Okay. Let's go for the balanced one. If I didn't add any Bitcoin, like 0 Bitcoin, I'll probably be starting to get some. And let's say like this. Let's say I have $10,000, $100,000 to invest in Bitcoin. I would start with 10 to 50% now. 10 to 50% now. Okay, this is what, just to make sure that the market really wants to go higher. Because if you only go with 10 or 15% for your Bitcoin allocation, and if it starts to drop, you still have your capital to start to layer in at a lower price. Because we are not sure that the market, that the worst is over. I think any opinion right now is valid. I don't join the bottom is in or top is in crew, but I think that any opinion right now it's completely valid. You can go higher or you can go lower. And we broke out of the range. Bulls are in control right now. And we need time to understand what the market will do. Then, if I had same amount, let's say $1,000 for large caps, I will start be looking at it. And I'll start to invest probably 15 to 20%. And if you ask me why more than Bitcoin, easy. Because the upside is higher. Because the upside is higher. So if the upside is higher, I would invest more percentage of my large cap allocation. And I'm talking here about those, I don't want to say safe, but those that have been here for multi-cycle. Solana, XRP, let's see, 𝗕𝗲 kind of, but yeah, we can say 𝗕𝗲, XLM. So those that have been here for a long time, and Ethereum, of course, you need to have Ethereum. 𝗕𝗏𝗹𝗶 just said this week that he thinks, or he believes that the entire banking system is going to be built in Ethereum. So this is what I'll start to do. I would invest a higher percentage on large caps than I would in Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is like your safe asset. It's like buying US bonds. You have it there, you know they are going to pay you something. There might be some volatility, but in the end, you are going to make money. Here is that if you have a small account, you need to take some risks. But how can I say? These are calculated risks. Calculated risk. And this is what I started to do. Then we have the mid caps. And here, right now, at the point we are today, and I think Bitcoin is dropping, I would just invest 5% on mid caps of the capital that I have for mid caps. Again, I'm assuming that you choose the profile. We are going for the balanced one. And here, I'll just put 5%. Why? Because the same way that the upside here is huge, with the drawdown at right where we are right now, I don't think the drawdown for large caps will be that higher. Especially most of them already have ETFs running. There's institutional demand. Wall Street is here. But for mid caps, it's different. So I would start with only 5% layering on mid caps. Okay. Then we have small caps. And small caps is that amount that these are the asymmetric bets. It's the ones that you think that are going to perform well. But as soon as they go higher, you need to start to take profits. And you just leave a moonbag. And here, I will go with 2% of what I have. 2%, no more than that. And then we have the DGen one. And I can give you an example of a DGen one that you could have done right now or should have done last week. Last week, I told you about CommonWealth. And I said, this is the project that caught my attention on Solana. And I'm not the biggest Solana fan. I still think that Solana has a lot of work to do. But I studied, I did my research, and I think you should have done it too. And I'm still believing that this project is trying to build something different, and they are really trying to do something that is not done in the market. It's the CommonWealth project. It's connected to the CommonWealth or trying to be connected to the CommonWealth. And we did this. And when I talked about this project last week, I think we were around at 11 million market cap, and it went to 35 million market cap. This was on 13th of April. And this is your DGen bag. The launches, the new projects. And we have a move like this, when you do like a free X, the first thing you do is take your initial out. Why? Because the 1% that we invested here, you take it out, you ride it, it can take some profits if you want, it depends if you believe in the project or not. But if you do that, and you take your initial out, you're riding it for free. You are riding, on this example, the potential of the CommonWealth that they are trying to deliver for free. And you'll have more capital to invest in another DGen token or DGen project. It doesn't have to be meme coins. Again, any launch should be considered DGen. Okay, any launch should be considered DGen because the team has an idea and they need to implement that idea. And sometimes implementation doesn't work well. This is why we have this on the DGen part. This is why we have this here. And again, do not take DGen for just memes or micro caps. I remember there was a big part of the cycle where I was heavily invested on micro caps and they all played well. And then they rugged. Okay, micro caps, not new launches. So, yeah, 1%. If you invest 1% here and you take your initial out, you are still in profit. You still have exposure to the market, to the project, and you can get a new one. And you can get to a new DGen one, or you can take the profits and buy more Bitcoin with it. So the core thing today is, how can I say this? And this is live for those that are asking if this is a pre-recorded. The thing is, like, you cannot decide how much Bitcoin you should own in the middle of a pump, right? If you start doing this, you already decide how much. And you won't be deciding if you should rotate into memes at 2 a.m. looking at Twitter. You already decided because you have a plan. And if you have a plan, you will not be exposed to any of these things that I told you here. Any of this. You won't be exposed to this if you actually have a plan. This is why I've been saying since, I don't know, I think I started doing this on live streams in August last year. If you have a plan, you won't be panicking. Am I too exposed to small caps in the middle of a bear market? You already decided. Every decision you do, it's important for the state of the market. Okay, so you have 4 profiles here. I'm going to leave this, I'm going to make this public so that you can check if you want to. But again, this is exactly what I will do. This is exactly what I will do. Set a profile and then start laying it in on the market. Okay, with the percentage that I just told you. It all depends on your risk, profile, on the portfolio that you want. It all depends on that. Okay, so I'm just giving you my example and telling you and showing you what I wanted that someone had showed me on 2017, because I believe someone that did this, I haven't lost money like I did in 2017. 2017 was my premiere on the crypto market and I lost tons of money. So this is something that I think you should do. I'll make this public as soon as I finish the live stream. But for you to understand that this is where we are right now. Okay, this is where we are right now. The market is pumping. Some of you are out, I know, because of the DMs I received. You choose your profile, you start laying it in, and that's it. Because I know some people are still calling for lower. Okay? I know that. And I'm not going to tell they are wrong or that those calling for higher are right. We cannot make that decision right now. And I'm going to show you why, because I know you want charts. Please tell me, show me the charts. And I'm going to show you the charts right now. So I hope you enjoyed this. I think when you start to understand how things work, it's like a project, you start to understand that things might go well. And yeah, I want you to make money. We are all here to make money, but you need to understand how your brain works so that you can make money. Now, why I'm not going to do live trading today, and I was planning that, and why I'm not going to, how can I say this? Why I'm not going to tell you that the worst is over yet. Because of this. Let's listen.
If you don't have a deal by Wednesday when the ceasefire ends, will you extend the ceasefire or will you start attacks again?
Maybe I won't extend it.
Okay.
But the blockade is going to remain. But maybe I won't extend it. So you have a blockade, and unfortunately we'll have to start dropping bombs again.
So, just for you to be aware, I'm sure you know what's happening, just a small recap. Yesterday, Trump said the Strait was open. The Iranians said the Strait was open. But how can I say this? I think one of them, and I agree with the IFI research, one of them is not saying the truth. And I don't know if we saw some sort of market manipulation by the Iranians here. But Trump said the Strait is open, but they are going to still do the US blockade to Iranian ports. And this is what happened yesterday. And I want you to see this because, yeah, I think we were manipulated yesterday, to be honest with all of you. So this is what was said yesterday. In line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire on the coordinated route as already announced, whatever. So the Strait was open. But today, sorry, not this one. It could be this one. It's this one. But today, there you go. The president said made 7 claims in 1 hour, which all of them were false. They didn't win the war, whatever. And the continuation of the blockade that Trump said they are going to continue. The Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. So, This is the part where you don't understand what's happening, and this is the part you need to be smart. Do not FOMO, do not overtrade if you don't know how the market will react today, because it's weekend. And we know that the only market that it's open right now, it's crypto or commodities that are available on exchanges. So you need to be careful now. And there's a small recap here about everything that Trump said that they are claiming is not true. And this is where you need to be smart. And the West didn't want to win the war, propaganda, continuation of the US blockade, the Strait of Hormuz not be open, passage through the Strait of Hormuz must be based on designated route with Iranian authorization, which Trump said it's not going to happen. Whether the Strait is open or closed and the regulations will be determined by the field, not social media, media warfare, whatever. And also Iran said they're going to charge a toll, and Trump said there will be no toll. Okay? Now, I don't know how the US will react. I don't know how Trump will react. And that's the reason why I don't feel comfortable doing live trading today. Because if I go here, and I'm short on Bitcoin right now. I took a short, I think, let me see. I think 7,300 something. Something like that. Let me check. I'm almost, yeah. 7,773. I took a short yesterday because I do believe that the market was going to drop on the weekend. How can I say this? It's risky to short the market right now, but I wasn't feeling confident, and I did a show yesterday about this. You should follow me here. This is my English channel, 𝗕𝗃𝗏𝗏 by Pedro Silva, and I did this not so fast because I didn't believe that the deal is going to hold, and I do believe that we are being played out by who? I don't know, but this is what I believe. You should follow me here. I'm live every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. I'll be live tomorrow morning to prepare for the weekend. Basically, I'm live every day. Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, and Saturday in English. The rest of the days, I'll be live streaming in Portuguese on the Portuguese Banter channel, and I'm always live streaming on X. So you should follow me on X either if you like my content and if you enjoy my content. Now, the reason why I shorted was two things. First, we were testing this resistance for the first time since we broke out the support. Okay, we are testing this. I didn't short it immediately. I didn't short it immediately because I wanted to see the Bitcoin reaction here, and we did saw the Bitcoin reaction here. This is why I didn't short it immediately, and I waited for confirmation. When I started to see a series of drops, lower highs and lower lows, okay, I'm going to short it, and that's when I shorted yesterday around 7,200 something I just told you. And now Bitcoin is dropping. Now, this doesn't mean that it's over, the market is going to drop, whatever. Doesn't mean that, okay? Be aware, it doesn't mean that by all means. It can even, I would say that this is just, how can I say? This is just the market reacting to the news. And if you, I said I was not going to trade, but if you ask me, if you wanted to look for a long position, if you feel the market is going to recover from this, this is a big rejection, I would search for a long here. Okay, I said this yesterday on my show, this alert, and I would look for a long here. Okay, this is where I would look for a long. If I still have this, I still believe that this is the best place that you can look for a long if we get there. Okay, when I set an alert, it's not because I'm going to immediately long. When I set an alert, it's because I want to see the reaction when we reach this level, and you can see why. It was a previous resistance, now needs to act as support. And then I'll take my decision if I'm going to long it or short it. Okay, let me know if this makes sense to you. I hope so. Let me check the comments. Let me see. Let me know where you guys are watching. I always like to know from where you are watching. Okay. So, like I was saying, if we get here, I'm going to watch the reaction. Probably then I'm going, if, and this is a big if, maybe I'll go for a long here. But again, check the reaction, okay? If you're not short right now, just need to check the reaction, how the market will react, and that's it. Now, I told you I'm live almost every day. And I want you one thing before going to other charts. I want you to go here, join the Beat the Bear competition on Bluefin, join my team so that we can do live. I've been doing 2 to 3 hours live trading sessions on my channels in Portuguese and English. I have my team here, and I want you to join us so that we can collect the prices and the prize pool. So join me there. Again, probably I'm not going to do live trading today, but after this move, we might get something. And yeah, but the other days I'm live trading every day. Like 2-3 hour session, not tomorrow because it's Sunday morning, it's the worst day to trade. But all the other days, even if when I'm streaming in Portuguese, you can see my trades because I'm streaming on X. So let me know. Will is a legend. Now let's go to Ethereum. This was a big drop on Ethereum. Like a big one. There was not any statement by anyone, right? Let me just check. Do a quick check here. Let me see if there was something. Yeah, there was I think the Iranians said Strait of Hormuz returns to previous state. So this might be what caused this move. This might be what caused this move. So yeah, let's see what we can do, what we have here. It's weekend. Yeah, someone yesterday opened a big short, or several accounts opened like a big short on oil right before the Iranians said that the Strait was open. Look, if Iranians are playing the manipulation game, it will be painful. Okay, believe me, it will be painful. It's not. Yeah, I'm not going to say it. But yeah, it will be painful. Guys, so if you... Damn, I'm not going to long this. I don't like the structure right now. And we are not seeing any reaction whatsoever. But if you want to do this, and if you want to try to short this, I said I was not going to do live trading. I would short here. Around here. This resistance here this week, I would short here. Okay, so yeah, around these levels here, this is where I would feel confident to short. Okay. But you need a big stop loss here so you don't get wrecked. You need to be at least above this. Again, I'm not sure this is going to work out, but if it does, this will be an awesome trade. And I'll set the final boss here with a TP around these levels. I'll take the first TP here. And second one around these levels, if we get here. Yeah, then it's the final boss. And again, I don't know if we are going to test this level or drop further, but this is the only trade I will do right now. This is the only trade I'll feel confident to do it right now. Okay. Let's check other ones. So see? When was this? 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, and then we dropped today. This was yesterday, I think so. Let's see what we have here. Guys, did you do how many likes do we have? I cannot see it here. I hope you liked the show today. If you don't understand things, you cannot act to improve. See, what can we do here? Maybe shorten a retest here. They are going to close the Strait again, aren't they? It's weekend. This is all happening on the weekends. Just a second. Let's see. I don't think it's safe to long here. I just wanted to see some sort of reaction, but the US bots are not even up yet. I still think this is a short. Like I was saying, I think we should short it around these levels here. But if you want to, again, if you want, those are, remember, let me say this clearly. This might work out well, but this might be, this is dangerous trading on this weekend, especially now that we saw that they are supposedly closing the Strait again. But if you want to short beat the XRP here, just know that Trump might wake up, say something positive for the market, and we go higher, okay? Or this not even gets to our entry. But this is what I will do. Yeah. I will wait for a retest here, and then I will short it. And I think the market now is calling for a short. That's what I believe. Let's look at Sol. Let's see if we can. I would like to find a long, just a quick scalp. I would like to do something here. Yeah, guys, come on, give me some likes. Long oil, yeah, we should long oil. But the thing is that oil is being heavily manipulated right now by both sides, as we saw. So because two can play that game, right? Two can play that game, and yeah, I'm not sure if it's smart to trade oil right now. Because both sides can manipulate the market right now. Let's see who is here. Yeah, I think the entire market is a short right now. You just need to retest the move they just did, and then you can short it. That's what I feel. Like, if you like Fibonacci's, you pull it here, you wait for the retest, and then you short it. It couldn't be more easier. Look, and you need to be ready that it's weekend, low volume, low liquidity, and you can get stopped. But you saw the Fibonacci. It said this resistance, you short it, and then you need to to put in place your stop loss. Always tight stop loss. We are trading. You don't want to deal with big losses, so just a little bit higher above this, and then you target lower. And this is it. This is a quick scalp. If we get filled, so. And I think it will be the same with Bitcoin. I think we are going lower. And I hope you join my team. Do you think news could finish the rally? It's the rally they're asking. The only thing that I'm not sure, crypto's been holding up pretty well, right? And you all know that it was the best performing asset since the war started. And you know there's liquidity to enter the market as soon as there's some sort of certainty. We saw that yesterday. We saw even on the stock market. I don't know if it will kill the rally. And I'm not sure about it, but if I know one thing that might kill the rally or delay it, and then we just add another fake out to inside the to outside of the range. Let me show you this. I think it's easier. If you go here, and this is the chart where I had the range. So we are trying to break out of the range, right? And it's not impossible that this will be just a fake out and we come again inside of the range. If there's no deal, if there's, for example, and you are just speculating here, okay? And I hope this doesn't happen for the sake of humanity, but let's say that we have ground evasion or more bombing or I don't know, something like that. Then this was just a fake out, like this one here was a fake out, and this one initially was a fake out, and you broke out. And then you come back inside of the range also, okay? That's why I'm honest with you, and I say, look, I cannot tell you with exactly what's going to happen because we don't know, right? We don't know. We can have an opinion. I have an opinion. I already said that, okay, now finally we broke out of the range. We are above my line on the sand, that it was my previous line on the sand for the market to drop. And yeah, that's bullish, that's positive. But we can get back inside the range at any moment. Like at any moment. And that you need to be ready for that. Like I said, have a plan. And yeah, have a plan. That's what I can tell you. Let me see. I'm not going to take this trade. I'm just going to test the waters. Let's see if I'm right about this. I'm wrong, but I just want to test the waters, nothing else. If we can get here at least. Although I do believe that we might pretest here and drop. I just want to see this. And I said I was not trading today. And I said, nah, no, I'm not trading today. Let's see. I just want to get a feel of the market. That's it. And then elevator up, stairs down. The opposite is also true. Stairs down, elevator up. Let's see if I'm right about this. Because if for this to happen, Bitcoin needs to go higher. And we need to pull this one here so we get filled. Like here. I think it's like this, somewhere around these levels. Let's see. Also, again, be ready for things to happen that might change the outlook. We got in on this one. We got filled. Why not? Let me check. Yep, you are in on this one. It went there. Yep. So this one we should be in. Let's see. We are in on this one. We are just testing the market today. If we can trade this today, then tomorrow on my channel, I'll feel more confident to do some live trading, although on a Sunday morning. Hello, sir. Can I buy or sell? It depends the button you use. If you use the red one, you sell. If you use the green one, you buy. Just do like this, and then you can do it. And then you can do it. I love the hello, sir. Buy or sell. I've been transparent with you on my shows. I've been buying the entire time. So this one wants to go higher. So if so, we might get stop on this one. Sold, it didn't went there. Ethereum, nope. I think we'll go higher on this one, honestly. I think that we might reverse here. What I'm going to do here, just a bit longer, this is what I've been doing every day on my channels. And again, most of you don't speak Portuguese. If you follow me on X, I live stream all my shows here, and you can see the trades that I'm taking. And also I built an app that you can have access, and I think today I'm going to update the app, and you are going to have access to my trades inside the app while the bear competition is ongoing. Okay, just for you to know that, yeah, it's going. See, you should have taken this trade. Yeah. Did any of you took this trade? Let me know. Microcaps are pumping. Oh, I have to be honest with you. I made a lot of money on microcaps. I still do. But yeah, I'll be 100% honest with you. Okay. When you are starting, you need microcaps. You need to take more asymmetric bets to make money. To get, I always say this: the first cycle you lose money, the second cycle you get liquid. Sorry, when I say liquid, you make money. On the third cycle, you invest for your wealth. Okay, I've been always saying this. Let me just be more clear here. What I'm always saying is, like, first one you lose money, you pay the lesson. Second one you get liquid. Third one is when you build wealth. And if you speak with most of it, unless some people that started earlier and bought Bitcoin at $10, even so, if they bought Bitcoin at $10, they needed to wait for the third cycle to make wealth, to build wealth. And that's what you should understand it. And when you understand this, you are okay. You know this. Okay, I need to be liquid. And that's when you invest in microcaps. Because microcaps have the asymmetric bet. It's easy. And if you want to be liquid, you need to take some risks. Some will work out well, some won't. And those that follow me for a long time always know that I've been heavily focused on Dino coins for that reason. I don't need a 100x. I prefer to have 10x's. And that's exactly what we got. Let's see if this is going to reject now. And Bitcoin is going higher. Maybe this time it's a good time to do some trades. I'm not going to tell you the microcaps where I made money because they are still available, and if I say it here, I'm going to pump it. So I'm not going to mention those projects because they are microcaps. And I don't want that. Guys, as I was saying, you should go here, 𝗕𝗏𝗿𝗀. This is an app or a website that I built. The app is coming, and you have a lot of free tools there. Okay, you have heat maps, market reports, trade journal with live positions inside the trade journal. You open a trade on Bluefin, you see on your trade journal. You open a trade on another exchange, B2X, whatever, and you see it there. You have a portfolio tracker. Just test it. It's free. You can use it. I think we are going higher. Let me check this one. Yeah, Bitcoin seems that it digested the news and now it wants to reverse. So I'd closed 50% of my short where I was here, and I'm leaving the rest to right. I have the stop loss at break even, and that's it. I think it's the best for you to do right now if you are short from yesterday. We might reverse here. Might have got a nice trade here. Let me check here. This one is risky. Let's see. But I think we got a nice one here. It might just go here or even here and reject like it did. But I think this was a nice one. Yeah, I ran close the the Strait. I think there's going to be a lot of things this weekend, so we need to be careful. How many likes do we have? And did you subscribe to my channel? Tomorrow I'm live there at 10 a.m. Lisbon. 10 a.m. Lisbon, so just do the conversion to your. I need to add that to my app based on your time zone when I'm live. Market is moving so slow. Let's see if we can find another trade. Maybe we can get something here. Let's look. AVAX. See what I was telling you about the fake out outside of a range? There you go. AVAX. Let's see if we can do something with AVAX. It's rejecting now. I'm not going to mention microcaps here. What can we do here? Let's see what can we do. Oh, is this one pulling up? Dropping now. This one is Gucci. One is Gucci, and Sol is out. IP is ripping. Of course, people probably are longing and shorting oil there. Let's check. Awesome. But this makes sense. Okay, this makes sense because hyperliquid now is everyone is looking there to short oil and on the weekend. So it's like the barometer for the oil during the week. I don't know if you can do something here. I think you're going to start to see some volatility now. I think now we are going to see some volatility. So we are okay. We have this long. We have two shorts that are playing out. So far, I don't know if Sol is going to get filled or not. Just pay attention to these ones, okay? And you should be fine. Even if this one gets stopped, you have the other two, so you are okay with this. I'm going to stop here. Like I said, I wanted to do live trading, but the market is going kind of bananas with this string from the Strait of Hormuz being closed, etc. And just be careful with the market today. If you want to scalp, awesome, just do it. I'm a big fan of scalping, always scalps over swings, because if you swing trade, you are exposed to the market makers, and usually you don't make money because they are going to find you and liquidate you. So be careful, protect your capital. Thank you for being here. I hope you understand what I tried to show you today, and take this as a life advice. If you don't understand what's causing you to make mistakes, you are not going never to solve your mistakes. That's why I explained FOMO, and then I said why you should not FOMO and how you can avoid that. Thank you for being here, and remember, tomorrow I'll be live streaming on 𝗕𝗏𝗏 by Pedro Silva at 10 a.m. Lisbon time.